Okay guys, so this is a bit of a guidance video just to show you some of the different things with GitHub. So this one's going to focus on if you were wanting to set up a new maybe program project and you're fairly comfortable with GitHub and you just kind of, want to remember how to work your way methodically through setting it up from your desktop. So we are going to start by navigating to the area that you want to create the project. Now for me, I'm going to create it on my desktop, but that might be within a folder. And then what you're going to do is you're going to right click and you're going to open Gitbash there. Okay. So these commands then are all things that you're fairly familiar with, or at least, should be familiar with. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to start off by making a directory to hold my project in. So this directory is going to be called example1. Hopefully that doesn't already exist. You're about to find out. Cool. So example1 exists. Now, the next thing I want you to do is, and this is just easy for ease sake, I want you to open the project in Visual Studio Code from here before you CD into the project to make the files, only because otherwise you've got to CD back out to go back in, and it's just a bit long-winded. So this has now opened this, which as you can see is absolutely empty. Now you can start adding new files and so on, but actually what I want to do from here is I want to create some. So I'm going to CD into my project. Okay, so I did autocomplete there after I typed the EX, and as that was a close match and there's nothing else, it gave me that. And I can see here that I've now moved into example1. And then from here, I'm going to create some new files. So I'm going to do touch just to create them. And let's just say I'm doing a Python project. So let's say actually within here, first I'm going to make a new directory for some folders. Maybe this is going to be called like demo files. Okay, and then I can still make some files directly from here. So what I can do is I can say touch, maybe I'm doing like a while loops lesson, right? And then I just need to, beforehand, just say the file it's going to go into, right? So demo files, demo files dash while loops, / while loops. Okay, so that's the directory and then the file name. Yeah, so hopefully you understand that right now I'm in example1. One of the directories I have all the files is demo files, and I want to put while loops within there. And I need to make sure I do my .py because this is creating it on a Windows desktop. Okay, so remember, although these are these kind of Linux, Unix commands that we're used to, I am still in a Windows environment, so I still need to use the Pi extension so that Visual Code knows what it's dealing with, right? So now when I open Visual Studio Code, again, I see demo files exist and I've got a Python file ready to go, at least almost ready to go. So the next step before I do any code is I want to make this a Git repository, and I do this by doing git init. And I can see now that that's worked and I'm in the master branch. Okay, and we're going to learn more about this, but it is quite good practice to make a new branch, right? But first I'm going to commit the master, and then I'll show you. You can use the commands to do it in Git. I never can remember what they are, even though I'm pretty sure it's like make branch. And I'll show you how to just do it in the desktop version. So from here now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do git status, which tells me if there's anything to be committed. And basically, untracked files is anything that hasn't yet been added. And demo files is my new folder and the contents of it that obviously need to be committed because they aren't yet. So from here, I'm going to do git add. And if I just use a dot, it will just do everything. So everything that's outstanding, else I can give the specific thing that needs to be added, which I want everything to be added. And if it returns back no problem, it's all good. And then from here, I'm going to do git commit, and then I'm going to do -m, which allows me to follow this with a message. And my message is going to be first commit. Okay. And we can see that that has all worked, no problem. Now, what I want to do is just show you that if I come into GitHub, I have now got, this is all initialized, and you might think, well, how do I know? And I've changed my settings so that when when a GitHub repository is created, hopefully, we'll have talked about this, but a .git file is created and it's hidden generally unless we unhide it. And then you don't touch it. That's very much what Git is able, and it's how it's able to track your files and all the commands work, etc. So I know this is definitely created. I can see that I'm on the master branch, which is great. What I'm going to do now is just add a change. So I'm just going to put like a print statement in here, which says, first line of code. I should probably say hello world, shouldn't I? Keep it consistent with the coding world. Anyway, mine's an autosave, so already it's made a change, right? And we can see here it's changed color and we've got this little M, right? So it means the file's been modified, right? And these modified changes are outdated. So if I come over here and I do git status again, I can see that demo files and then while loops py from within that location has had some changes made to it. So I'm going to do git add, and I'm just going to do docs, and I'm happy to just chuck it in there. And then I'm going to once again commit this, right? And again, we can spiral up and down. We don't have to manually type everything out. We can use up and down keys to go through previous commands. And this is going to be our second commit. This is important. I'll show you why in just a moment. Just so that we know that everything's working as it should be. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to show you how to manually get this into your desktop version, and then I'm going to show you how to put it onto your online version. And depending on the stage at which you watch this, you'll understand why there are all these different versions, or you might just be watching this as an example of how to just set up some projects, and it's still kind of all new to you. So this is actually something I've already been working on. So we're going to come up here and we're going to add local repository. And the path, I'm going to literally go in here and I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to choose example 1 and I'm going to select the whole folder. I want everything inside there. And I'm going to add this repository. And that is added without any problems, which is good. So the next thing is, if I have a look at my history, so you'll see that those commits where I put a message through actually get passed through to the desktop. So we can see here first commit was done and there was actually nothing to commit specifically. There was no content in my files, but the files themselves were committed. You can then see here that the change happens here, right? So where we see it in green, this means that that's a new line of code. Just to demo this so it's really clear, I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to add a second line of code, and then you'll be able to see what the difference is between these different git commit stages. And this is just really handy. I normally play around with stuff like this when I'm kind of, if I haven't done it for absolutely ages, I'll just be like, right, just check them all good, make sure everything's doing what it's meant to be doing. I'm going to come back here. And in fact, while we're there, I'm just going to do something else. And I'm going to come over here. Within my demo files, I'm going to actually add a HTML file. And this is going to be called index.html. And inside of here, I'm going to just put a little heading. And it's going to be like header 1. This is my HTML file. And the reason I'm showing you this is just to remind you that when it goes green and it has a U, it means that currently this file is untracked because I have not added it through git add. It's just untracked right now. And so, of course, all the changes will be compiled as soon as I add it, but it's just reminding you that this is currently in an untracked state. So if I come up here now and I do git add, git status, sorry. You can see that I've got two things. I have changes to this file. So the file itself has been modified with a new line of code. And I also have a new untracked file, which is index.html. So this is a good example of where I would use git add doc because I'm happy to just add both of them in one go. And then I'm going to do commit. So again, I'm just going to cycle through and grab this commit. And this is going to be third commit. Now, you wouldn't normally just write first, second, third commit because that's kind of pointless. Third commit. And then what I would normally say is, what the change was, what this kind of point of commit is about. So added HTML template files, right? so that when I look at my different commits, I can be like, oh, okay, so I just created that feature or just finished my database connection, and I can see the various reasons why things were done. So heading over to GitHub now and refreshing this, I can see now that my third commit is a lot clearer. So my index.html file is now nice. I can see that. This is what's really cool, okay? So in the red, we can see what the original file content looked like. And we can see the online one in red here, that we had this, right? And we can look across to see line 1. And with the green, we can see what's new. So still on line 1, same line of code, but that could be a totally new line of code. And then additionally, down here on line 3, we have another line of code, right? So I could keep cycling through that again and again and showing you, but I don't think there's really much need. Hopefully that makes sense. Now my source file is up and running. The first thing I want to do is create a new branch. As I say, you can do this in Gitbash, or you can just do it here. I tend to just do it here, but that's just me. I normally give mine like working, and then I might call this one like working underscore, Grace Shafi. So I know maybe there's a couple of you working on something. You can call it anything you want, but use your variable naming conventions. You know the drill by now. Apply, right? So I've created my branch, and now I'm going to push this up into my GitHub. So thankfully, there's a button for everything. I'm going to publish to GitHub. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this example 1, and this is going to be video demo, right? So I know which one I'll just go along and delete it later. Description, so part of a student demo video. I'm going to keep it private anyway, so no one will see it but me, but still means I can go back and delete it and see what I've done. And I'm going to hit the publish repository button. And it's just going to take a little second to cycle through. Nice, all done. Okay, so a couple of options now. It looks like, oh, what's happened? But this is exactly where we want to be, right? Now, quick thing, we've already automatically swapped to the new branch, and Visual Code has also swapped to the new branch. I'll do a separate video on branching and on how that works, but this is just a reminder that it automatically swaps you over. So really, no one should be working on the master branch. This should only be for where commits happen. So now I've got choices. I can open this file, and I can actually view the files of your repository in Explorer, open them up in Visual Studio. We already have that done, and I can also view on GitHub. So this is going to take me to GitHub Online, to this specific repository. So I'm already signed in, so it jumps straight in. And within my Shafi 3000 area, I have a new repository that's ready to go. I can add a README file because obviously that didn't automatically add, so that's that done. And README is where you put your kind of instructions about how to use the set of files, etc. So I'm just going to commit this quickly now, so that I have it. You can see the README file exists. And so I can look in here, there's a nice description, all the thing, and all my files are inside, right? And I can click on them and I can view them. So now we have the version on our local desktop. And remember that every time I make changes, and I commit them, they will commit to GitHub, but I need to then push that up to the online repository. So, rewatch some videos if you still get a little bit confused about what the key difference is. But basically, while you're working on your desktop, even within the GitHub Desktop application and using Gitbash, none of those changes are really going to take effect and be pushed up into the cloud until you actually manually make that move. Likewise, when you make changes of things onto your online repo, until you pull down those changes, you won't actually see them. And that will make sense when you really look at how kind of teamwork and collaborative working. So I hope this has been useful. Rewatch it whenever you need it, just a quick reminder, and I'll make some more on different topics.